I have a question. What is Yuji going to do in Jujutsu Kaisen? Now, this probably seems like a weird question given where we are with Gojo and his fight with Sukuna and, not really knowing what Kenjaku is currently up to. But I think it's an important question to ask because I think he has a hidden power. And I think that hidden power could make all of the difference in the fight that we are going to be getting here. My answer to this question is that he has been training to unleash a very special type of attack and or fighting style. And I think that attack and or fighting style is going to be domain amplification. We have seen him working with several people, but most notably Kusakabe, in the lead up to Shinjuku Showdown. And he was described as needing to learn something very quickly. Now, there are a few reasons why I think domain amplification would work very well for him, so let's go ahead and cover those in some detail so you can get a better idea of where I'm going with this. Number one is we have to look at Yuji's fighting style. Yuji is primarily a close-range combatant. He throws fists, he kicks, he's a borderline acrobat in the way that he's able to dance around the field, so this makes a lot of sense. I mean, when you look at his total fighting style, he doesn't usually try and learn any ranged attacks, or he's not even a martial weapons user. He's all about using his own body and his fists as his primary form of combat. So, with that in mind, what better could suit his natural form of style than using domain amplification? Now, domain amplification is when a sorcerer or cursed spirit basically uses a style similar to simple domain, where they cover themselves in a cursed energy barrier, and the cost of this cursed energy barrier is that they can no longer use their own cursed technique. But the trade-off is that they can forcibly deactivate anyone else's cursed technique, allowing them to hit that person no matter what they're using to defend themselves. This works a little bit like the inverted spear of heaven, which is the weapon that we see Toji using in the beginning of Season 2. Now, with that in mind, this sounds tailor-made for Yuji to use, because A, Yuji is a close-range fighter. I mean, one hit throw with this and his natural strength would be devastating, let alone if he was able to continually enhance himself. Though we don't know the limitations of how domain amplification affects that, it does appear to have at least some effect, but his natural super strength would more than be enough. And then the other factor is, he does not have a curse technique to shut down. He has no downside for using domain amplification. He loses nothing in doing so. At best, you could say maybe he loses Divergent Fist, his primary form of fighting, where he unleashes his secondary punch after he initially hits, but that really doesn't matter much, because that technique in and of itself is really designed to be used against opponents who can already shield themselves with cursed energy. If he can shut down any kind of barrier or defense, he doesn't need that. He'll be able to knock around anyone. This would be really bad too against somebody like Sukuna, who really uses his curse techniques to cover up his range differential. So, do I think Yuji has this? Yes. Do I think we'll get to see him use it? Yes. Who will we see him use it against? I'm not entirely sure. Whether it ends up being Sukuna he fights, or it's Kenjaku, or maybe even another character. It really just goes to show that this is a learnable technique, it fits well with Yuji's abilities, so it makes a lot of sense for him to have this. But go ahead and let me know if you think he has domain amplification, or if he doesn't, what do you think he was learning with Kusakabe?